Hello everyone, welcome to the part 7 of JavaScript. In this, what we are going to talk about are mini topics which are not that much huge concepts in itself, but these concepts are really important when it comes to development. Right, when we enter in the part 8, we are going to talk about what is document manipulation, DOM structure and all this, and we are going to integrate JavaScript with our HTML CSS documents. So from the next part we are going to enter into the development part of JavaScript. But right now what we are going to do is that we will be focusing on mini topics which are important but not huge concepts in itself. Okay, in this session we are going to talk about some miscellaneous topics which are important but not big. Okay, so let us begin with our first concept, which is this keyword. So this keyword refers to an object that is executing the current piece of code. What is the meaning of it? So I have said you in part 6 when we studied object literal, in that I have said you that an object is a huge word in JavaScript. Like, depending on the context you are speaking, an object can have various meanings. Similarly, this keyword can have various meaning, like different meanings based on the context. For example, why we use this keyword when it comes to objects is that to refer parental parameters, parental variables. What is the meaning of it? This might be a little bit confusing, but yeah, let me show you. So here, let's say that I'm creating an object. I'm creating a student object. Okay, inside that student object I'm having age, CGPA and name of the student. So in the student object I'm having age 18, after that name Jabir, and let's say CGPA some 9.8 something. Okay, so this is the object. Right now what I want in this object is I want to create a function inside the object, and whenever I call the function inside this object, I want to print all the variables of this particular object. So what I'm gonna do is that I will create a function. I'm going to modify this function object, which is student is equals to age 18 and name Jabir. After that, let's say CGPA is 9.8. Now what I want is I want to create a function inside this object. So what I will do, I will write just function, whatever the function name is. Let's say function name is print, and inside that whatever the variables, whatever the key values I'm having, I want to print those key value pairs. Then how I'm gonna do that? I can do this. I can like print the key value pairs using this keyword when it comes to object. Right, this is very similar to object-oriented programming. In object-oriented programming, whenever we build class, let's say that in object-oriented programming, if you are new to programming, then there's a object-oriented 2-hour session which I have conducted like back then, long back. So I will provide you that video link here. But in object-oriented programming, whenever we create a class, let's say I'm creating a class, and let's say class name is student, and inside the class I'm having variables. Let's say name is a variable, age is a variable, and CGPA is a variable. Now I'm creating a function or a constructor. Constructor is nothing but a function as well. So let's say I am creating a function, I am creating a constructor or function, whatever, and I want to print the name, age, CGPA of this particular function, or I want to assign the values to this particular variables. Then how I can do that? I can do that using this keyword. So what this will do is that I will write this dot name is equals to Jabir, and this dot age is equals to 18, and this dot CGPA is equals to something 9 point something like that. So what this keyword will do is that it will assign the values to this parent, or you can say variables, in this class. Similarly, when it comes to JavaScript, to access this key value pairs inside the object, I'm gonna use this keyword. So here I will write this dot h console.log console.log, and I will write this .h. So what this will do is that I will point to this pair. After that I will write console.log this .name, and I will point to this name key value pair. So to access the key value pairs within the object, we use this keyword. Okay, let me show you in VS Code. I will go to VS Code. So inside the VS Code, I am having this index.html file, and I have connected this index.html with index.js. Okay, now what I'm gonna do is that I will create a student object. So here, let's say I'm creating a student object, const student is equals to, and inside that I'm giving name as Jabir and age 910, and let's say CGPA is 9.8, something like that. Okay, so I have created this object. Now I will run this file here inside the console. First of all, I will print my student object, so student, and click enter, and you will see that in the student object I am having age, CGPA and name. Now what I'm gonna do is that inside the function, inside the object, I'm gonna create a function. Let's say that my function name is okay, I'm creating a normal function, and inside that function what I'm gonna do is that I will print age. So console.log age, and just see the output, just observe the output here. Where is my, yep, this is a Microsoft Edge, and you can see that whenever I refresh this file, you can see whenever I print student object, and you can see that I'm having student object. Now what I'm gonna do is that I will call my function student.function. I'm gonna call this. You can see that it is showing console.log age. So it is not printing the actual age value, right? So here I will write student.function, and I'm gonna call this function now. So function, yep, now see, you can see that it is showing age is not defined. When I call the function, it is showing that the structure of the function is inside the function I am printing console.log. It is the structure of my function. Now when I actually call the function, it is telling me that there is no variable called as age in the object. Okay, so inside the object it is telling me that there is no variable, there is no key value pair which is age, but you can clearly see that here I am having a pair called as a key value pair age and 910. Why this is showing? Because inside the function there is no key value pair as age. So to access the key value pairs inside the object, what we do is that we use this keyword. So here I need to give this .h. Now let me save it and go to the console, refresh this. Yeah, now first of all I will print my student object. Now I will call my function. So student dot my function name, and see, you can see that now I got the age value. So the simple meaning of this keyword is to access the key value pairs inside an object, we use this keyword. Okay, I hope you have understood what is the need of this keyword. Now if I print just this, now here I will print console.log, and I will just print this. Okay, now let me see the output. What will be the output? So here first of all I will write my student. You can see that student is having these things, right? And this is the object in itself, right? So if I call my function student.function, you can see that I am having student.function. First of all it is printing age here in the program. First of all I am printing age. After that I am printing whatever the thing this keyword is storing, I am printing that. Here you can see that what is this keyword is storing. You can see that this keyword is again storing the object. So here let me write, whenever I am defining I'm defining this keyword inside the object. So what this keyword inside the object will store inside the object will store is that it will store the data of the object. Okay, how many key value pairs are there? It will store all the related information about the object. If you are defining this inside the object, it will store the entire data of the object. If I am writing this outside the object, then what it will do is that it will store the overall object of the browser. What is the meaning of object of the browser? It is known as window object. So here, let's say that instead of printing this console dot this keyword inside the function, I'm removing it and I will print outside the program. So here I'm printing this outside the program, and let me go to the document. Here you can see that console.log is printing a object. Here student is an object. Similarly, there is a inbuilt JavaScript object called as window object, and window object is a high level function which is used to perform different things in browser. Like whenever I'm running the file now, whenever I'm running here, you can see that I'm having live option port 5500. So whenever I open this port 5500, I'm getting the browser, and whatever I'm writing inside the HTML, I'm getting all the details in that particular page. Okay, so all these things can be done by window object. And inside the window object, we have different things like alerts, blur, catches, different things. So the thing you need to remember here is that window is a universal object which is used to perform different things on our browser page. Okay, now one more thing is that whenever you write this keyword inside the object, it will store the data of the object. Whenever you write this keyword outside the object in the main program, here this is the main program, right? So whenever I write this keyword outside the object and inside in my main program, then what it will do is that it will store the data of window object. So here this will store the data of my window object. Okay, and what is window object? Window object is a universal object which is responsible for all the operations in the browser. Like whenever you are opening browser, a window will get created inside the browser, and because of that window, all the operations will get performed. We will study about window object in the later session, but for now we need to understand that if I am printing this outside the object, which is basically in the main program, then it will give me the window object. And if I'm printing the same line inside my object, then what it will do is that it will store the data of my student object, which is my create object. So it will store the data of my student object. I hope you have understood the difference between writing this inside the object and writing this keyword outside the object. And that is why I have told you that based on the context, this keyword has different meanings. Okay, anyways, I hope you have understood why this keyword is used. This keyword is used to access the variables, to access the key value pairs inside the object. If we are declaring it inside our object, in the object, if we are declaring it outside the object, then this keyword will store the information of window function. The next concept is try catch block. Okay, so to understand why we use try catch block, what is the need of try catch block, let us take a simple example. Let's say that in the VS Code, in the JavaScript file, I'm removing all this and I'm printing console.log hello world. Okay, hello world, and I'm copying the same line and I will print it again, hello world, hello world, hello world, hello world, hello world. Like this 7 times I'm printing hello world. Okay, now here in the browser, let me go to the console. You can see that in the console I have printed hello world for 7 times. Now let us observe a scenario that in between this program I am writing some error. What is the error? Error is something which is undefined. which is not declared in the program, but I am trying to access that undeclared thing, then that thing is known as error. Okay, so here let's say that I am printing console.log a. Here you can see that there is no declaration, definition or anything related to a, but I am trying to print a. Then what JavaScript will do? JavaScript will give me a error. You can see that first of all, first line is print hello world, first line has printed, second line has printed, third line has printed. But when it comes to fourth line, it is showing me uncaught reference error. A is not defined. In the program, in the old program, the value of a is not yet defined, and that is why it is giving me a error. But you can see that after giving the error, there are again 4 lines of hello world, but it is not printing that. Why is that? Because you need to understand that whenever the JavaScript code executes now, it will happen line by line, and if there is a error in, let's say you have a code of 10 lines and there is a error at the 5th line, then what will happen is that the remaining last 5 lines will never get executed. So this is the problem with JavaScript, and whenever we are developing some applications, we should make sure that there is no error in our program, in our code when it comes to JavaScript. Because if there is an error, let's say that you have written hundreds of lines of code, but there is an error in the second line, then those hundreds of JavaScript line code will not get executed because of the error in the second line. Okay, so to catch these errors, to handle these errors in JavaScript, we use try catch block. Okay, so what is try? Try will test the error. Okay, for this particular set of statements, in this particular set of statements, whether there is an error or not. If there is an error, then it will catch the error and I will throw that error to catch block. So here we have pair of blocks, try and catch. What try will do is that it will check the error. If there is an error, then it will throw it to the catch block. And you should remember this, that whenever you are writing try block now, then along with it you have to write catch block. You cannot write only the try block, because JavaScript will give you error. These two things should come in pair. Okay, so let us go back to our PPT. So in the PPT we have the try statements allows you to define a block of code that is to be tested for errors while it is being executed. So for example, in the program here I'm thinking, okay, this line might give me an error. So what I will do is that I will put this set of statements or this line inside that try block. So here I will write try and I will put this statement inside my try block. Okay, now if there is an error, then I need to tell my user, okay, there is an error in this particular statement. So to tell my user, to tell my browser that okay, in this particular thing there is an error, I will write catch block. So here catch, and inside the catch block I will write console.log the value of a is not defined. Okay, like this we use try catch block. So let me go to the console. You can see that first of all I am printing hello world, hello world, hello world. After the value of a is not defined. So what is try block is doing here is that first of all it is checking. Okay, whether this line is giving me an error or not. If this particular line is giving me an error, then it will go to the catch block, and inside whatever the things I have written inside the catch block, those things will get executed. Okay, now what if there is a case where there is no error? Inside the catch block there is no error. Let's say all my statements are good. Here I am defining let a is equals to 10 and I'm printing the value of a. So what will happen is that catch block will never get executed. So here you can see that first of all I am printing hello world, hello world. After the value of a is 10, it is defined properly. That is why I am not getting any error, right? And normally hello world is getting executed, the rest of the code is getting executed. So if there is no error, then the catch block will never get called. If there is an error, then and only the catch block will get called. And try catch block are always, these two statements will always come in pair. You cannot write just catch block or try block. For example, let's say that here I'm removing this catch block and go to the console. You can see that it is showing uncaught syntax error missing catch block. So try catch block always comes in pair. You cannot write try alone, or you cannot write catch alone. This two has to be together all the time. So I hope you have understood why we use try catch block. Now the most important concept here we're gonna study is arrow functions. So we have studied functions, we have studied how to declare a function. So to declare a normal function, what we do is that first of all we will write function keyword. After it we will write our function name. Let's say my function name is hello is my function name, and parenthesis curly braces, and inside the curly braces we will give the definition of that particular function. Okay, so this is a general syntax of a normal function. Now there is a special type of function which is arrow function. Arrow function, you can consider it as a compact version of normal function. Arrow functions and normal functions are same, but the only difference between arrow function and normal function is that the syntax of arrow function is very compact, and most of the times we use arrow functions. So here it is compact. First point is it is compact, and what we will do is that we will store the structure, the returned value, all the information of arrow function to a function expression. We will create a function expression here is equals to, and we won't give any name inside. For arrow functions we don't have any name of the function. We will give parenthesis, and inside the parenthesis if there is a argument, if there are parameters in like basically input to the function, then we will give input inside the parameters. After it we will give this arrow symbol. This arrow symbol will tell that this is a arrow function. Okay, after it our curly braces, and inside the curly braces we will give the definition of our function. Okay, so the thing you need to remember here is that arrow functions are a compact version of normal functions. It don't have any name in itself. So what we will do is that we will store the arrow function within a variable, or you can say within a function expression. We will give a function expression, a variable, we will create a variable, and we will store that function inside this variable. Okay, got it. Okay, now here you can see that I have shown you an example. I have created a function expression and I'm using arrow functions. Here I'm passing two inputs, input 1, input 2, and this will tell me that this is a arrow function, and curly braces, and the same whatever the things I'm gonna do in normal function, I will do the same things in my arrow functions as well. The thing is, the only difference is it is compact, it won't have any name, or I don't need to use any like particular keyword. Here I have to use function keyword to define here, but in arrow functions I don't need any of that. Okay, let us see how arrow functions work. Here I will remove all this and I will create a function, arrow function. Okay, now I'm gonna print console.log. This is a arrow function. Okay, now I'm gonna store this function, this arrow function in a function expression. So I will give const hello, and how I can call, okay, I have created this arrow function, but how I can call my function inside my program. So to call arrow function, what we will do is that we will, whatever the expression you have written, function expression, use that as a function calling parameter. So here I will give hello parenthesis, and what this line will do is that it will call my arrow function, it will execute these lines. So here let me save and go to the console. You can see that this is a arrow function. I am printing the value. Similarly, I can also write here const. I can calculate sum of two numbers as well. Sum is equals to my arrow function. Okay, now I'm gonna print. I will take two numbers as my parameters. So let a, or I can give a comma b, and I will print console dot log. Console.log, I will print the sum of two numbers. The sum of two numbers is, and I will print a plus b. Like this I am doing. Now inside the console, in the console, I will call my sum function. So I will write sum, and you can see that the sum of given two numbers is nan, because I am not passing any parameters. So here I will pass 10 comma 20. Now you can see that I got the output as the sum of two numbers is 30. Like this we define, declare and call our arrow functions, right? So here you can see that you can consider this as declaration and definition of arrow function, and this is how we will call our arrow functions. Now the next concept is return statements and arrow function. So if you recall the normal functions, what we will do is that to return some value we will write a return keyword, but when it comes to arrow functions we don't write any return statement. What we will do is that, let's say that I wanna return something, then basically I will write it. I don't write any like console.log anything. What I will do is that I will declare the function, and inside that I will just write the statement, whatever the statement I wanna return to my main program, that statement I will basically write it. We don't use any return statement here, and this method, what we call it as implicit returning. We call this method as implicit return. So here let's say I am multiplying two numbers, and whatever the output I am getting, I want to return it to my main program. Then what I will do is that I will basically write a cross b, and it will automatically return the answer to my main program, to my console. And one more thing you need to remember here, that we shouldn't write curly braces. If you want to return something, then you should use parentheses. Okay, this is 3, right? 3 no. So let us see how we can write arrow functions and how we can use implicit return method. So here I will create a function. Let's say I'm creating a function const multiply, and this will take two parameters a comma b. Okay, now what I'm gonna do is that instead of curly braces I will write parentheses, and inside the parentheses I will, whatever the things I wanna return, I will just write it out, and this will give me a return statement. Like this is how we write return statements in our arrow functions. So let us see the output of this program. I'm gonna call my multiply function, and you can see here what is the name of the function. Multiply, mul, multiply. Okay, yeah. So here let me refresh this and let me run the file. First of all, let me run the file here. Okay, so this is my console. In the console, what I'm gonna do is that I will call my multiply function, multiply, and call the function. You can see that I have it has written nan because I have passed the values none. Okay, let's say that now I am passing the values mul of 10 comma 20. So what this method will do is that it will return the multiplication of the given two parameters. Like similarly I can also pass like strings also, a comma b, and it will show me error that a is not defined or b is not defined. So here let me pass characters a comma b, and it will give me nan because multiplication of two characters will also give me not a number. Like this we can pass multiple things, and like this the implicit return statement will work. Now the next concept we are having is SetTime Out Function. So here SetTime Out Function. So the method or the function SetTimeout function is used to create delay in your browser. For example, let's say that you have a piece of code. Okay, you have a piece of code, and for that particular piece of code you want to delay the execution of this piece of code for 4 seconds. You want to hold this part of code for 4 seconds or 10 seconds, 15 seconds. Then what we will do is that we use set timeout function, and what this will do is that it will halt a function for n number of seconds. Yeah, and the syntax of set timeout function is, first of all we will write set timeout and we will give parenthesis. Inside the parenthesis we should give a function, and this function can be a arrow function as well as normal function. Whatever the function you wanna execute, you will write it here. And the second parameter for this set timeout function is that you will give the time for how many seconds you wanna create delay, and this time is calculated in terms of milliseconds. And I can also write example here. I will write set time out, and let's say that I'm writing an arrow function, and inside the arrow function I want to print console.log hello world. Okay, hello world. After this is my function, and for how many seconds I want to delay this, for 2 seconds. So for 2 seconds I should write 2000. So 2000 milliseconds is equals to 2 seconds. Okay, like this we declare timeout function in our program. Let us see how it will work. So here in the JavaScript I will remove all this, and I will create set timeout, and I will create a function, arrow function. You can write normal function as well, and here I want to print console dot log statement after set timeout function. Okay, and let's say the time I'm giving as 2 seconds, so 2000 I will write here. Now before calling my set timeout function, what I will do is that I will print console dot log, and I will print before statement before set timeout function call. So let me save this and go to the console. Let me make this as live, and you can see that in the console, whenever I click on inspect and go to the console, you can see that I'm getting refresh it. Yeah, you can see that statement before execution. Now it will wait for 2 seconds, and after that the next statement will get executed. Like this we use set timeout function. Now if I want to increase the number of seconds, then here simply I will give, let's say for 3 seconds I want to cause delay, so here I will give 3000, and let me save and go to the console, refresh this, and you can see that I'm getting first statement, and after 3 seconds I'm getting another statement. Like this we use set timeout function. And very similar to set timeout function, we have another function called as SetInterval. And what this SetInterval will do is that it will print the output again and again at each and every periodic cycle. Okay, so here what I'm gonna do is that I will copy the same thing, and I will write in the place of set timeout, I will write set interval, and inside that I will write the same thing. So here I will give the same thing. Now what will happen is that it will print the statement again and again for each and every 3 seconds. I hope you have understood what is the difference between set timeout and set interval. What the set timeout will do is that it will print or it will halt the program for a block of code for n number of seconds. But what set interval will do is that it will print the block of code again and again at each and every interval. For example, if you're giving 4000, then at every 4 seconds in the terminal, in the console, the statement will get repeated. You can see that for 17, for 18 times the statement is getting executed. So this is the key difference between SetTime Out and SetInterval Function. Now, one of the most important concepts of this mini lecture is this keyword, the meaning of this keyword in arrow functions. So the thing you need to remember here, for normal object, for my normal object, this will refer to parent variables, parent key value pair. So the meaning of this for normal object is basically whatever the key value pairs which are there inside my object, those things will get stored by this keyword. So this keyword will store the key value pair. But when it comes to my main function, this keyword will store the value of window object. Okay, whatever there are things inside my window object, those things will get stored inside my this when it comes to main object. Now for arrow functions, you need to remember that this keyword will follow lexical scope. The meaning of lexical scope is that, let's say that there is a arrow function, and arrow function will have a parent, and you are having inside the arrow function, you are having this keyword. So what this will do is that it will store, for this keyword its parent is arrow, and for this arrow its parent is this thing. Now what this keyword inside the arrow function will do is that it will directly store the information of this parent, because it follows lexical scope. Okay, so what it will do is that it will store the data of parent's parent. I will show you the meaning. This is the key difference. You need to write it down. I want you to write it down, and you can see that based on the context. For a normal object, the meaning of this is different. For main function, the meaning of this is different. For arrow function, the meaning of this is different. So it is really, really important on which context you are talking about, whether you are talking about the meaning of this for a normal function or meaning of this for an object or an arrow function. It is totally dependent on that. Okay, and this is the meaning of arrow function based on the context. And I want you guys to take a screenshot or write it down in your notes, because it might be a little bit confusing if you are coming as a new developer, if you are a new developer here. So here, let me go to VS Code, and inside the VS Code I will write, let's say I'm writing object const student, and for this I'm creating a variable name and its value as Jabir. Okay, Jabir. And inside this student function, inside the student object, I'm creating a function, let's say function, and I'm trying to access, let's say func is my student name. Here I will give comma. Okay, now what I'm gonna do is that I will try to access, I will print console.log the value of this. Okay, and before this, before my student object, I will call console.log this keyword. Okay, now after this I will create another arrow function. I am creating arrow function, arr is equals to my arrow function, and inside the arrow function I am printing console.log this. Now let us see. So this is my main function, this. Okay, and this is my object, this. And finally this is my arrow, this. I'm like using this keyword a lot, but yeah, this. So let me save and go to the document. You can see that first of all I'm getting my student object, my window object. Okay, now let me close it out, and I will print my student object. So here when I print my student object dot my function, func, right? Func, and save it. Here I need to run my program. First of all, I will run my program here. Let me go to the console. Okay, so inside the console, first of all, I'm printing my window object, because for main function this value will store the window object. Okay, now I'm calling my student object, student dot my func object. So here, let me see, you can see that the func object, this is storing the structure of the object. So inside the function, inside the object, this keyword is storing the structure, the data of my student object. So this particular keyword, this thing, where is the index.js, so this thing is storing the data of the student object. Now if I call my arrow function, let me see what it will do. So I will call my arrow function. What is the name of the arrow function? ARR. So I will call ARR. Now see, you can see that ARR is also storing window object, because ARR is a parent for this particular, for this keyword. Here let me write, this parent is arrow, and arrow parent is main, and main will store, main is nothing but my window object. And as I told you that here lexical scope arrow function will store the data of parents to parent. So here arrow, this keyword parent is arrow function, and arrow function parent is main program, and main is storing window object. That is why I am getting this output as a window object. I hope you have understood the meaning of this set timeout, set interval, arrow functions, try catch block. This is a very simple lecture, I think 30-minute lecture, I guess that's all. And there are some sample questions which I want you guys to try. The first question is, write an arrow function to return the square of two numbers. So here we can simply write, I will write const square squ is equals to, and inside the function I will take the parameters of a particular number. So for a particular number, if you want to calculate the square, then what I will do is that in the parenthesis I will write n cross n. That's all. I will automatically return the square of a particular number. Simple. Now the next question is, write a function that prints hello world for 5 times at each and every 2-second cycle. So I want you guys to try the second question. Okay, so this is about our miscellaneous topics, which are basically this keyword, try catch block, arrow function, and set interval, set timeout function. So with that being said, I will see you in the next session, and the next session is going to be on document object manipulation, DOM structure. So here from now on we are gonna enter into the development part of JavaScript. So with that being said, I will see you in the next one.